Hi, everybody. Welcome to Shivers. Today we have a guest named Amber. Amber creates magic on TikTok or Amber Margaret on Instagram. Amber and I have been in this metaphysical woo-woo world for a while. And so anybody who's a regular listener of Shivers, you'll know that everything for Shivers is under that spooky umbrella. So Amber and I always have conversations at the cemetery. We go for coffee, talk about ghosts, all that fun stuff. So today we're going to be talking more metaphysics and a little bit of the paranormal too, but more so about just sort of self, metaphysics of self, authenticity of self, luck, intentions, manifestations, all that fun stuff. So thank you, Amber, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, as with all of my conversations, I'm very direct, I'm very to the point, I'm very impatient. So, let's just sort of kick it off with the idea of authenticity. Amber and I talk all the time about just what it means to be sort of in alignment with ourselves, authentic with ourselves. And so that's really, I think, at the core, what's missing for a lot of people is just being able to, like, I have permission to be myself. But anything that you really want to, like, add on to that, as well as just sort of your background, your TikTok, what you're trying to create too.
Okay, I have no idea what I'm going to say, so this is going to be very spirit-led. Authenticity, I think, is about really being able to dive into yourself. I spent so many years not loving myself and a lot of time in victimhood. Why did this happen to me? Why did I go through this? But for so many years before that, I had not even acknowledged that I had experienced childhood trauma or that I didn't like the dynamic of my parents' relationship or things like that. So it took a suppressed memory of my childhood sexual assault to really, I mean, it threw me into depression. It threw me a severe, I was struggling with severe anxiety, severe depression. I was lost within myself. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had no passion. I had no motivation. Like, I had worked 5 jobs at one point before this because I wanted the money. But really, I wanted to distract myself from what I didn't even realize was there to uncover. And that's kind of what the rat race does to us, anyways. They want to distract us so we're not willing to look at ourselves. And when we do look at ourselves, it's selfish, right? So I really like had to come to terms with what is it do I resonate with? What is it do I that I align with? And so I was in a toxic relationship for 4 years that you saw me go through as well. You were the one that told me we were going to break up, and I was like, no, no, no. And listen to your tarot readers. But it took a lot out of me because it was showing me exactly what I didn't want. And that's what I believed to be a twin flame in that moment of time. So a lot of karmic lessons, a lot of lessons of not being willing to settle. And so I had found myself in this relationship before I realized that I didn't want to settle, that I wanted to grow. I had made a mistake in the relationship that was very guilt ridden and shameful. And that appears to me as a very inky, dense, dark, gooey energy. And I don't like that feeling. It sits in my belly, it sits in my sacral and into my heart chakra. And I don't like feeling like I have things on my chest. So I had to bring this mistake to this person, and I had decided in that moment that I was going to be a better person because I didn't like how this felt. And so, in order to come to terms with myself and forgive myself, I had to progressively grow every day and make it an effort to be a better person, not only for myself, but for the people around me. And I feel like that's where my authenticity really started to come from. Or at least that was like the trigger point of, okay, who am I?
Mhm.
Why did I make this mistake? It was the darkness just shrouding me and like trying to swallow me. But my light will always shine. And that is the authenticity, that is the alignment. I know that in my heart that I am a caring and kind person. I get that from my mother, who taught me about kindness and empathy and loving people no matter who they loved, and wanting to move us into a different state so that we could have more diversity. These are just things that I grew up learning.
Mhm.
Kind of, so now my authenticity comes from my moral compass. But it took a lot of shadow work, being able to ingrain those within me and offer them grace and forgiveness without judgment. And it takes a long time, and I'm still working on it. I'm never going to say I'm perfect. I'm always going to tell everybody that I work with that I'm always learning, and that when I do make mistakes, I sit with them and I reflect on them and I decide how I can move better in the future. And it's not always just like a one-time thing. Oh, well, I decide. No, it takes practice. And it starts with thinking about it first. It's the awareness, it's the noticing the triggers. Because even in my last relationship, in the beginning of that, I was still throwing temper tantrums. I did
Mhm.
that as a kid. But nobody had taught me how to emotionally regulate or have any type of emotional intelligence. I was thrown in my room and the door was shut and I was left to deal with it by myself. And I would cry to get attention. Somebody come help me, save me, make me feel comfortable. And in this relationship, that person was just never there for me. And I eventually had to start learning to cope for myself, because why am I 23 and throwing temper tantrums, you know? So I had to start acknowledging my reactions and just reflecting on everything and deciding to grow. And then I've always been pretty witchy, but then that was around the time that I started claiming I'm a witch, because I started having the confidence and I started doing things on TikTok and putting myself out there. It started with like everyday magic type of a series around Halloween. I always do like a series around Halloween. And that is the most magical time, I feel. I've been walking around the woods and I've just been imagining that it's October. Just like that special energy. Um, but I also just started realizing, what is it that I like to do? Because I used to just rot in bed and I never really resonated with being in the rat race. So I would like move jobs a lot, and I just found that they would suck my soul. And eventually I walked out of a place and started doing a business, a wedding planning business that I no longer am a part of. And that gave me, okay, I can do this, but I don't think that this is the right thing for me. And I want to do it for myself, you know? And so it took also me being able to do things by myself, because a lot of the time I was always looking for external validation.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until I finally just started validating myself that keys started clicking, you know, Hecate and all.
No,
That's a very long-winded way to say, I guess.
no, I think that's great. And I think, like, for me, I always use the example of like growing up as a twin. And so no matter what I did, I was constantly compared to another person who not only has really nothing in common with me, but looks like me. And so that becomes very challenging. But it starts that self-awareness at a very young age to say, how am I different? How am I an individual? And it was very interesting to me in the most recent poetry book that I put out. There were a couple people who said, like, oh, your whole message is about visibility. I was like, no, I don't care about being seen. I care about independence and individuality. So it is, it's interesting to see that that's not necessarily my intention, but at least that's what's essentially kind of coming across. But yeah, I mean, from an authentic perspective, I think a lot of people, myself included, like started out childhood just nobody wants to hang out with me. Nobody wants to do anything. I'm just going to sit home and play video games and do nothing. And now I'm like, I want, you know, what kind of opportunities we have around us. Like Christopher Columbus took years to get to America and did a whole lot of bad things, but we could hop on a plane and we could go to Europe in a couple of hours. Like that's so amazing. And you want to talk about like past life stuff that you're essentially sort of making up for now too. Like you have the opportunity to go visit somewhere that you might have grown up in, that you might have come from or been from, and start putting all those puzzle pieces together for your own soul. So that's even a deeper layer of authenticity, but and alignment. But even to your point of shadow work, like we talk about shadow work all the time, you and I, and it's really this idea of the dark night of the soul is a very trendy term, but that's like the core of now you have to make a choice. And I'm so happy that you said that, like you have to decide, you have to choose, because I think a lot of people get into the metaphysical and the spiritual journey. I've seen it myself who purchase a Reiki session and then say, tell me what crystals I have to buy for things to get better. Tell me what journal I have to buy so I can write in it for things to get better. Like you have to choose. You have to want better things for yourself. And so, even now, also from that entrepreneurship perspective, like I did believe in the rat race because that was the only thing that my parents ever preached that I ever knew was the idea of success. And so, went to college, went to corporate, worked in HR, worked in recruiting, and absolutely hated it. Wanted to fucking kill myself. Like it was just horrible. And I had to take a risk as a non-risk taking person and say, I have to choose to have a better life, to do things that I want for myself. Because otherwise, to me, there is literally no purpose because I'm not getting what I want. So that choice kicks off a lot of challenging tasks ahead, but very rewarding. And that's also why I don't have a whole lot of patience for people now who are like, oh, you're so lucky. You get to do your own thing. Like, not lucky. I have slaved for the past 4 or 5 years to try to make this a business, to try to make my dreams come true. So, yeah, it's very much the same thing, but it has to start with choice. And I think the biggest thing, especially from awareness, that I have seen that helps people kind of kick this into gear is stopping that victim mentality and stopping the idea that you have to have other people or you have to be the people pleaser. Like, those are the two biggest things that I think I've seen firsthand that prevent people from truly being in full alignment with themselves and their actions and what they want.
Yeah, people pleasing, a thing of the past for me.
Yeah.
I had to, that was another lesson that I had to learn, and it was specifically with men. And it carried into this relationship that I'm in now. It was like the universe was testing me in the beginning of this relationship to stop people pleasing them for their comfort when it was making me uncomfortable. I was being sexually harassed at work by somebody who was saying that they were our friend. I was having old people from places that I used to work reach out to me and just say inappropriate things when they're married. And I just had to start shutting them down instead of, haha, you know?
Yeah.
And so, again, there's this like standard. I had this guy come into my live the other week and he was like, how can I help women right now? And
Oh,
I was like, yeah, right. I was like, stand up for us. Say things like when you hear men saying, oh, women are crazy or just talking shit, people just, whatever. They just let you be mediocre.
mhm.
Don't let them be mediocre. That's another thing. I can't tolerate mediocre men. And that's something that I've realized again with people pleasing because I've been in many, many, many relationships with mediocre men because of the father wound that I have when he made me feel not good enough, when he emotionally abandoned me for my brother when I was young. And he wasn't gone, but emotionally, he was not present for me. And so that affected how I welcomed the world, how I let people treat me because he made me feel not good enough. So therefore, my core wound, this Chiron, I feel not good enough, or I feel like I'm going to be emotionally abandoned. And so I put myself in situations where that was what was happening. I was just putting myself into relationships with narcissists like my father and was just repeating the pattern. And it was generational. That's another thing. These past we are not the only people. We have to realize that things get passed down through us, through the mother, And and we are portals. Don't even get me started. But so it was this energy of I am here to break karmic cycles that generations before me could not. I'm being told as I'm automatic writing with spirit that I am the curse breaker, that I am here to bring light to not only me, but the world and peace. And so when people come at me and like, ooh, which is scary, I'm like, I'm just trying to solve world peace. What are you doing? So I felt like me discovering my authenticity and part of that being me communicating with spirit through automatic writing, because that completely changed my entire perspective. The first time that I ever automatic wrote with them, I had wrote earlier that day and it was very doom gloom. I don't like my life right now. I don't like my partner. What am I doing? Like, what's happening? I'm just like feeling hopeless. An hour later, I start feeling inclined to journal, and all of a sudden, I start automatic writing, and it's spirit telling me to be kind to myself, to love myself, and to just be better and to grow, and that there's so much beauty and love and peace. And I was like, okay. And it just completely, I somehow just integrated that information into my system after that experience because it was so surreal. Like at first, it was really scary. I was even writing about how scary it was. And they were like, it's okay. Like, we're safe.
Mhm.
So it was a very interesting experience. And that definitely helped me explore more of my authenticity because I'm also realizing, okay, I have gifts. I can communicate with spirit in this way. This is new to me. This is something that I've not considered. You know, I don't have a lot of people in my life, especially at this point, that can resonate with talking to ghosts or like
Mhm.
spirit, you know? So I'm kind of like in a league of my own, just like trying to explore things and learn while keeping it very protected, you know? So I'm always only asking energies that are for my greatest and highest good. And at this point now, I have a whole spirit army that I invite into my day to help guide and support me and do specific things. So it's all about not being afraid to like be the weird person because I am definitely like, I try because I do have to work like a normal human job sometimes. And so I try to like hold back just slightly, especially like when new people come in, because on my podcast that I just recorded the other day with Brooke, she said that she was not the first, or that I was not the first person she knew, but I was the first person she heard about. And she said that this person told her that I was freaky and to stay away from me. So just be the freaky girl. Like, just be okay to be yourself. And that's another thing. Like, people at work, they're like, how are you just so authentically you? And I'm like, I just know that I am here to do great things and that this job is not my end all be all. I am here while I build my dream.
Mhm.
And then when I have $1 million and you guys are still working here, who's the real winner? You know, so you just can't let them get to you or that all of that energy. If you have any doubt, don't let external doubt get to you. You have to be able to have that internal validation to know that I am so incredible that all of my dreams are going to come true and I'm going to make it happen. And so I've been doing that so much more intentionally through using a calendar, through doing gratitude, through planning my weeks, through planning my months. Now I'm trying to work with the moon phases in each of its phases. I'm trying to like go along with her. I've also been learning a lot more about astrology, not to say that I'm an expert by any means, but I'm just learning it to help me get along in life better. There's like we have something coming up on Sunday, Monday with Neptune that's going to be like just throwing us into like a cloudy, confused energy. If I was just going through everyday life and all of a sudden I'm feeling weird, well, why am I feeling weird? I'm attaching judgment to it. So if I can understand it from a different perspective and instead of it hindering my experience and saying, Well, I want to channel this into creativity because Neptune can also be about dreams and imagination. So let me channel this into pursuing my dreams. But then also, I'm learning to cycle sync with my menstrual cycle as well as the seasons of the earth. So there's a lot that I'm trying to align myself with. And that's just what I like to do authentically. Oh, that's what I was saying earlier. I used to just bed rot until I had to finally, what's going to help me get out of bed? It was building an altar. It was doing candle magic. It was like, okay, well, like, what do I have the energy for? Because sometimes, especially when you do feel so depressed or anxious and you're just burnt out and you don't know what to do, start small. I started doing ritual baths. Those were extremely powerful for me, especially with Epsom salts and just cleansing the chakras and asking the earth to remove anything that's not serving you and learning to alchemize energy. That's been a lot on my journey in that sense. Alchemy, and in and of itself is going to be a whole separate topic, but I feel like I have truly learned my authenticity through grounding my energy, alchemizing that with the earth, working with spirits, shielding myself, and also sending energy up to the moon and getting it's just so much. I feel like it's almost like a vessel. I almost imagine like golden energy coming up and wrapping around me and white light from the moon coming down. And it's like this, yes, I am connected. As above, so below. I am one, and then it's like it gives you this power, this protection, this synchronicities just start happening, angel numbers, you start meeting people, everything just starts falling in line. And now the puzzle pieces that didn't used to fit together slowly start piecing their way together. And I'm still working on finishing my puzzle. We're never done working, and if somebody thinks they are, I think that that's a little naive, but um, we're slowly always like adjusting our puzzle and things just start getting more easy. And it's not luck, it's intention. And of course, I do manifest luck and that good things always happen to me. But also, if challenges do approach, I try to look at them as opportunity. So, again, it's also a lot of a perspective shift, which is what your mom taught me.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm really glad that you brought up As Above, So Below. I literally just recorded a video for As Above, So Below. It is my number one favorite metaphysical topic. I have it tattooed on my back. But it's the law of polarity. And so we were talking before about like how I am a relatively more aggressive driver. But what's the opposite of that? It's passion. And so that's what I talk about all the time. The same feeling that anger elicits is the same feeling that passion elicits. And so that's the law of polarity. But when we're talking about as above, so below, and being connected and having everything be there, it's the idea of everything that's outside of me is everything that's inside of me. Everything that's happening around me is everything that I believe the world is. So it's as I believe the world to be, so it is. It's also at the core the conversation of vitriol, which is visit the interior parts of the earth to find the philosopher's stone. This is the basis of alchemy. Flamel's tomb and Flamel's philosopher's stone is supposedly hidden somewhere around. My all-time favorite movie is As Above, So Below, which is a scary movie, but it pulls from all of these topics of this girl who's trying to avenge her father's suicide by finding and following his journals. And his journals were all about this treasure hunt to find the Philosopher's Stone. So she brings along her friend who's equally as smart, and they find out that the Philosopher's Tomb and the actual stone, Flamel's stone, is inside of the Paris catacombs. So again, this is a fake movie, but they go and they find this person who's willing to take them to the interior parts of the catacombs. They go down, and she realizes after all of this time that it does not matter what this stone is. It's the fact that she believes that this stone has power, that people believe that this stone has power, therefore it does. And that brings us back to the idea of even ghost hunting that I talk about all the time is that you can literally manifest a fake ghost. You can say, I'm gonna go, Shivers is gonna open a bed and breakfast. And I'm buying a property where Mary is walking around at 3 o'clock in the morning with her red dress on, and you'll capture her on evidence. And so I start marketing that. I start putting that out there. Enough intention, enough belief will literally manifest probably a red shadow figure in a camera in the hallways, a cold spot in the hallway, stand there at 3 o'clock, whatever you believe the world to be so that it is. As
Which
above,
would
so
be
below.
an egregore, right?
Technically, yeah. I mean, you're literally creating something from your words. And
Yeah.
that's also where a lot of negativity comes from. But
Oh,
yeah, I
yeah.
mean, even from your perspective of astrology, like I've always been anti-astrology because of being a twin, but I've been starting to think of it more as almost like that's the news. Like what's
Mhm.
going on with the astrology today? What kind of energy can I pull from? I don't necessarily have to have a full-blown belief that every single individual thing impacts me, but I would be naive to think that not some of it does, at least. And
Yeah.
so, kind of to your point too, of like, I used to be a fixer. I spent so much of my time being so self aware that I was like, if I could just show these tools to other people, I can help other people. And so I became the fixer, not the people pleaser, but the fixer. And so much so that my first year of college, I had a suicidal roommate. My second year of college, a bad boyfriend came with me. And so I moved to North Carolina to get away from them. And that same thing, that energy of, I'm just so angry that I had to move, that I had to change, that things had to be different for me. Where can I then alchemize that energy? Because it's not doing me, they're not getting any repercussions later in life. Maybe they'll get their karma, maybe they'll make choices to be better for themselves, but I can't wish ill will on them because I tried to help them. So I can only wish good things for them. So when we're talking about just how to find that sort of center and alchemize that type of energy, I started going to a meditation group, and I didn't have any intentions on finding anything spiritual or doing anything psychic. I was like, I just need to relax. And it was amazing. I went there every single night of school, and it was a room of 75-year-old plus and then me. But
Heck,
yeah, I mean, it was just wonderful. And like, I'll never forget the one meditation we did was a past life meditation led by a shaman. That was the first real like shaman conversation that I had. And I ended up falling asleep. But in my head, I saw this tombstone of a woman named Anna from 1958. And so we come back to the room and everyone's like, do you want to share? And so before I say anything, this woman who's leading the meditation comes up to me and she's like, I walked you to your tombstone, Anna, 1958. No one said a word in this entire room. We're all coming back. And I was like, how the hell, how in the world would you know that? How in the world? Like, I thought that I was either dreaming or just sort of kind of playing along, going along. But after that, that's when I was like, I don't really care what else comes up. Like, I have to follow this path. I have to see what else is down here because you literally can't make that up. And I had no intentions of going into it saying, I want to have some sort of amazing, crazy spiritual experience, you know? So
wow.
to me, you go back to authenticity. I'm not going into that with any preconceived notion. I'm not going ahead now and trying to take those fixer qualities and trying to fix anybody. That's why I'm very vocal on I want to share metaphysics and the things that work for me and even in meditation, but I'm not here to make you believe because I can't make that choice for you. You have to make that choice. Or I am also interfering with your free will and maybe extending your shadow work because I'm trying to come in and save you. I can't do that. In my heart of hearts now, I can't do that. But that leads into our next part of the conversation of selfishness versus selflessness. And I think my entire life, everyone has always told me that I am the most selfless person who's around. Now, because I choose independence, because I live by myself, because I do my own thing, within the last year, Jeannie, you're so selfish. You just want to do what you want to do. Damn right, now I finally do. But does
Yeah.
that make me selfish? Like, is it intentions or is it more than that? So I'm curious what your thoughts are. And I'm just going to turn my video on and off because I see it's fuzzy.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I definitely don't think that you're selfish. I think that we've had this conversation before, and I think that you're decisive, you know, which a lot of people struggle with, which is also a choice,
Yeah.
being indecisive or not choosing.
Mhm.
The idea of selfishness and selflessness, I think that again, a lot of people are brought up thinking that if they take care of themselves, that is selfish, which is just not true. That is just a manipulation. Because if you are not filling your own cup, how do you expect to fill other people's cups? This was my last relationship. He just would not take care of himself, and he just felt like he wanted to give to me, but what he was giving me was inadequate and mediocre, and I didn't like it, and I was never satisfied. And why was I never satisfied? Because he was never filling his own cup and actually giving me something of substance. He was just giving me empty air in my cup, and I'm just having to fill up my own cup. So I don't see how it could be selfish to take care of yourself. Why would it be selfish to figure out what you love, or to have a morning routine, or to take care of your skin if that matters to you, or to exercise, or to eat healthy, or to just live how you want, because you are a person that doesn't need to be told all the time, especially if you are a grown person who's not relying on mommy and daddy. Figure out what it is that you like to do. Stop just blindly going with what people have taught us to like. Or especially for some reason, people coming to mind, like that get pushed into careers based on parents. I feel like, are you happy? Is that what you want? Are you being selfless because you're doing what your parents or this other person wants you to do? Or are you being selfish because you're not actually doing what you want to do in your heart's heart? You're not being authentic. You're not giving these people the truest version of you. How does that sit with you? How does that sit with you just not getting to be you? And
Mhm.
what is it going to take for you to say, actually, I think I'm going to start caring about myself, especially in the day and age that we're in right now? I think that's how we fight back. That is my form of resistance, other than protests. My form of resistance is having so much peace in my own life and taking such good care of myself so that when I do go into the world, I can also spread the love and kindness and peace. And so a lot of people have been coming to me and being like, how are you staying so positive right now? And it's just having peace in my own life and knowing that the light has already won. We're kind of just having to go through the motions,
Mhm.
but I do think that I was here to help raise the collective frequency and vibration so that we can get to the peace that all of us want, where people are comfortable and allowed to want things for themselves, where they don't have to fight for everything. They can just have it comfortably. This capitalistic world that we're in is the reason why people think that we're selfish for taking care of ourselves, because we're not feeding into the system. But this is not even the system that we're meant to be feeding into. It's meant to be community driven, and us loving and taking care of ourselves and then spreading that to the people around us. So I definitely don't think it's selfish to take care of yourself. I think that there's a line between ignoring other people's needs or responsibility. I think that that might be a problem, but overall just wanting what's best for yourself, I don't think is selfish at all.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think a really cool practice of this was like back in college, I took a lot of religion courses because I was just very interested in the history. And that's also what got me to my belief system now, is because like so many textbooks kind of say the same thing. They're just talking about different people. But for Buddhism in particular, they're really big on reincarnation. And one of the things that always stuck out to me was in very heavy belief of Buddhist systems is anytime that you'll see a homeless person in a location where there's a large practicing Buddhist community, they will not even acknowledge homeless people because they say that this is their opportunity to work out their karma that they had in a previous life, and you are not to interfere with their karma. And I was like, I love that because I think it puts 100% sole responsibility on that person to get through their shit, to learn their lessons, to do what they need to do, to make those choices to change the story. So, yeah, I think it's really cool. But I also think a big reason, and I don't know that you and I have talked about this, but a big reason why a lot of people aren't having children anymore, I think stems from a lot of what even your past experience was, my past experience. You know, my mom has 4 children and she had her first child when she was 18 years old. Like, I'm 29 and I could not even imagine having a child right now. So, like, and I'm also not like, I'm also not like a big fan of kids, but I wonder if that true desire to not have children is put sort of in my heart and in my soul to help essentially like stop my family lineage. Like I saw it, this is kind of a little bit more like conspiracy theory route than anything metaphysics, but I saw a thing a long time ago online that said if every single person in your parents' family lineage does not have children, then that entire ancestry, that entire family lineage is free and you don't have to come back to earth. So I feel very true. To me, that is something that like I could feel that. I could see that. But I look at my dad's side of the family and all of them are very hard workers. You work hard, you work your 9 to 5, you have your family, you have your white picket fence, you have your dog, you retire, then you get to be happy. You do not get to be happy for the 45 years in between. That's horrible. You
Yeah.
cannot convince me that that's a successful system. But if you look on an American map at who is successful, it is my dad's side of the family. But how miserable are they? You know? So now, all of us grandchildren, all of us children, none of us want children. None, no gross power children want children. And myself, my cousins, we're all about travel. We're all about go out, see the world. We are the first group to have tattoos in this family lineage. Like myself and my sister both have sleeves. My cousins tattooed head to toe, leg to toe. Like it's really great. I'm like, I can't wait to continue pushing back on these traditions that are tradition for the sake of it. And
Mm.
even in terms of like doing travel, like I would love to go back to that homeland of my dad's side of the family and see like how does it feel? Is this a way for me to help them break the chains that they never had the chance to because they didn't have a voice, you know? So I think that that's very empowering, but it's also it feels a little bit like a responsibility of like I kind of have to do this because if I'm not going to have children, that's going to make me in the category of what everyone else is doing, which even isn't. You know, there's a stat that came out just last week, and 52% of Americans are choosing not to. I'm like,
I
hell
saw
yeah.
that.
But, you know, you also have this whole society of people, again, in my opinion, where I don't want to face the shit that I have to do myself. I'm going to have a child. I'm going to just be a parent. I'm going to have something to take care of so I don't have to look at myself. And to me, that is the most reverse selfish to selfless thing. You have all these people who have conversations about like, oh, you want to have a child or you have children, you're so selfless. You know, you're what an amazing job, the most blessing job. Do you know how many parents? Do you know how many people our age who are parents, new parents now, that are some of the most bitchy, selfish people I have ever met? Like, how many people were thinking the same way for our parents? You know?
Mm.
So I think about that all the time because it's like I have good parents who are loving, but they have their flaws. And now it's like I don't we're just sort of in this generation of people who are like, well, I don't want to do that to someone else. And I think that that's not only rebellion, but that's also choice. And that is also rooted in authenticity and honestly selflessness because I don't want to put my stuff onto someone else. I got to figure it out myself.
No, I agree with that completely. I have always I used to be really toxic about wanting a baby for that exact reason. I
Mm.
didn't want to have to look at myself. I didn't want to admit that there were problems. I wanted to distract myself, but I was also a lot younger, you know? And then my mom got pregnant. And when I was 20, and I had predicted him in a dream. And when he was born, I was like, you know what? I don't know. I don't know if I want this because he was colic and it was quarantine. And I was just stuck in a house with this infant that wouldn't stop crying. And I had to play him rap music to calm him down. And I was just like, I don't know if I can do this. And so I have taken a lot of time to think about it. And Iram and I have also talked about it, obviously. And we definitely don't think that we're in any sort of space to do it right now. And I'm also aware that I have so much more healing that I want to do before I do have kids because I don't want to pass anything down. But to me, I do almost feel this call to eventually be a mother, even if it's in like an adoptive or foster type of situation, just to help, and make people, children feel loved, not to say that I didn't feel loved when I was a child, but in certain experiences or with certain people, but I just wish I could have felt more or felt more understood. And we're not all meant to be understood all the time, but still, I would want to provide a safe space because there are a lot of kids who need it and don't have it. So I would like it in that capacity, and I would also maybe to have one, maybe of our own. But yeah, it would definitely be a lot of healing work before I could even get myself to that point. But another reason that I don't think kids or that people aren't wanting to have kids is not only because, yeah, I don't want to pass this shit on. I don't want what happened to me happen to them, but also everything that's going on in the world right now. I don't want to bring them into this. Why would I want to bring this precious little thing in and be like, hey, it's a shit world out here. And then it's like those parents that are like, what was I gonna say? Oh, it's a shit world. I heard it at a table the other day. Somebody said it like, oh, it's a shit world. You complain, you die, whatever. And I'm like, that sounds horrible. Like, why are we just expecting that life is horrible and then we die? Because
Mhm.
that is what they are giving us. I'm like, no, I'm here to fulfill my destiny. I want to create things for myself and those outside of me. And it's really interesting that you brought up like the homeless people thing because I've actually been interested in doing a lot of work for homeless people and like in the concept of like a rehabilitation center. But in the smallest ways, I've recently been thinking about making like a gift basket with some of my altar money and going and like gifting it out just to like help brighten their day. So interesting different takes on that, but I had not heard the Buddhist perspective of that. But it's quite interesting because I had not thought about it like that or them dealing with that karma. So I do also believe in reincarnation though, and I have had a past life dream that I think I've told you about. But yeah, I don't even know where I'm going now, but
Yeah, and I mean, I bring up the Buddhist side of things from just a history perspective. I'm not encouraging people to not help others.
I
So,
had just never heard that perspective.
yeah, yeah. But I do think, like, even from a parent perspective, like my friends Sarah and Kyle, like, they are people who are born to be parents and they have had a horrible journey trying to have children. And it's sad. And it made me step away from spirituality for a little bit because I was like, these are people who are literally like, that's what they're here to do. They're here to be fantastic parents, and this is challenging for them. And I don't understand why. They don't understand why. And I think it's really healthy to not go into that and say like everything happens for a reason. Like that's that's not nice. That's not good.
Mm-mm.
So I still have yet to sort of figure that out, but yeah, I mean, I'm talking more broad stereotypical what you said before. It's I don't want to face stuff in myself, so I'm just going to have kids that can kind of do it for me or that can fix it for me. Um, I think also when we're talking about like spiritual teams, like if you're somebody who does not know who your spiritual team is, it's the idea that, yeah, you have your guardian angel. Everybody kind of thinks of that, but there's so many more people than just your guardian angel. And it can be something as simple as meditation to kind of help show you who those people might be. But also, let's not forget that, like, people are cool. Anytime that I've done like a Reiki attunement or a meditation where I'm like, let's go visit my spirit team, it is always a party. They're always party people. They are always super partying. I did a like ancestral healing thing with my mom once, and it was like, okay, imagine like you're standing on the shore and all of your ancestors, not necessarily your spirit guides, but your ancestors are coming forward. And it was like literally a whole pirate ship of people drinking rum, having a great time. And I was like, this is what I'm talking about. Like when you think about spirituality or especially in religion, it's all about like it has to be perfect and poised and no fun, no tattoos, no nothing, no hair color. Like it does people are people. Like these are still people who most likely did exist at some point on this earth. And then now they are connected to you spiritually, or they always have been connected to you spiritually. But don't forget that they could be really cool. Like one day Snooky is going to be somebody's spiritual advisor on their spiritual team. Like it's fun to think about that because then I think it also takes off so much pressure of like I have to be perfect. I have to be polished. Like no you don't. You can also like yell at them if you're not getting what you want or you're communicating not perfectly. It's like this is so frustrating. Like what are you doing? So yeah, I mean, don't be afraid to push back, but also I would say like that can also help the authenticity by saying like, yeah, I like to have a good time and yeah, I like to party. And that doesn't make me any less metaphysical, doesn't less make me any less of a business owner. Like that's the balance of life.
Yeah. Who doesn't
So,
like to have a good time? And who
right.
wouldn't want to be doing that in spirit too?
Mhm.
I mean, I hear it's such a beautiful reunion when we do get up there. It's like it's like a big hug of unconditional love because we're just like coming back home, you know? But I guess I've never like imagined mine having a party, but I will imagine my guides in the car with me and we will sing and dance together. So we do like our own little things. Or when I called them in this morning, like I imagined giving each of them like a hug and a kiss and like just because when I do call them into my army, it is like a bit more structured. But sometimes I will just like imagine them all like behind me and or like going on walks with me and things like that. So I do imagine them just like with me all the time because they are. And I think that yellow butterfly. And I think that there's even more with me that maybe I don't even realize and also like new ones that do show up, like Persephone recently showed up for me, which is obviously like the perfect time for her to like come forward for people. But I've been inviting her, Ostara, and Bridget. I've added them into my spirit call for balance and harmony and peace and just like that lovely spring forward energy. And yeah, so I think it is interesting when people do show up, and it can be anybody. And I think that it's beautiful to connect with them, even if you are just at first kind of talking out loud and you sound a little crazy, but then you start noticing again like synchronicities or angel numbers, and certain words may start showing up, or just crazy coincidences are happening. And you're like, how can this be anything but magic? There's just so much magic. And again, our thoughts create our reality. And us just being here on this earth is magic. And the earth herself is magic. And the stuff you said about the Philosopher's Stone really interested me earlier because I do go down into the earth to alchemize energy. And I had recently been vulnerable with Iram about something. And later, either that day or the next day, I went to the cemetery. And I do tend to go deeper than where I normally alchemize, but it never stays. And so it's normally like a liquid gold, but this time it was almost like a corkscrew and it turned solid gold. And I was like, okay. And I talked to Sharon about it, and she was like, probably because you've not gotten that deep. And I was like, but I have been that deep before. And she was like, but like physically, like with Iram, like you expressed that vulnerability, and it took me deeper and it solidified the progress that I was making. So yeah, so much interesting stuff is going on, guys. And as long as you just believe it's happening, it is. We are only delusional until we're not. We have to convince ourselves what we want first, and then basically just start co-creating our life with spirit and surrendering to what they have to give us. Crazy.
And I think that that goes back to a point that you made earlier too, of like, don't be afraid to be the weird girl. Don't be afraid to be the freaky person. Like the number one quality of the most successful famous people, they all say is delusion. It's I had to believe in myself when everything around me said that this is not going to happen. Like, and I think that the more that you can push through that, even just if you don't aspire to be famous and do amazing, like giant things, you don't have to. It doesn't have to be a scale, but it's even just for yourself. Like if I believe that I am a certain type of way, then I'm going to be that certain type of way, and no one's going to stop me.
Yeah.
So, uh,
But you have to take the action with
yeah,
the intention.
absolutely. Yeah. It's not a magic genie where it's gonna happen. But also just sorry, from like a manifesting perspective, it's what's that end goal? What are you trying to accomplish for your own self? What do you want? But also what do you feel aligned to? That's that alignment. And so I always use the example of like because I grew up with that sort of pushed corporate world, it's you gotta have money. Money will keep you safe. Money's the answer for everything. So I spend all my time manifesting money. Where is that making me any money? It's not. So the question then further is, well, what is that money going to get me? It's going to get me travel. It's going to get me opportunities. It's going to get me whatever. And so then, okay, if I'm not focusing on the actual tangible product anymore and I'm focusing on, I want to feel safe, I want to travel, I got to go to London for free. Like, so I'm not manifesting money to go on a trip because now that trip had already happened of where I was working. Now I want a haunted house. I want a haunted house. I want a haunted house. That's my goal in life. But in my head, I have such a box around it that I have to be the one to purchase a building. I have to be the one to do it. And now working with this place in Pittsburgh, they were like, we have the land. We have a big open warehouse. Have fun. That in my mind is not something that was even a possibility. It doesn't matter that I did. It matters that I've been continuing to focus on the outcome of I want a haunted house because that's what my dream is, not because it's going to get me something else that's aligned. So the further and further you can go into what you want and think of it not as a magic genie wish, but I'm going to make tangible steps to get there. And I just ask for a little bit of extra assistance and guidance to do that too. All you have to do, you don't even have to believe. You just have to be open to receive. That's it.
You open my eyes because I've not been, I think I have been focusing more on the physical idea of money rather than, yeah, what do I want this to bring me? You know, like I know I want these amazing things, and I do think that I have been focusing on the physical cash of it more than I have, well, what can I do with it? You know, which is something that I've been thinking about doing because I'm like, okay, I've thought about the concept of budgeting like a millionaire, but obviously before I have $1 million. And so that's kind of why I've been getting into this idea of wanting to make this gift basket for the homeless because I'm like, if I can take the money that I have right now, which might not be a lot, but if I can still allot a certain percentage of money to give back to people now when I really don't have the amount of money that I would like, that will translate over into when I do have that, I will be able to do it in larger scales and help more people. So it is just like, okay, I do want money because I want security. And I would with my money, I talk about investing in my friends a lot and like what just like wanting to make them happy and like just being comfortable with myself that I can help other people. That's kind of the energy that I want to live in. Like I'm a server. I want to be able to go into a restaurant and tip an amazing server who's working their ass off for probably hardly any money and tip them $1,000
Yeah.
easy and not have to think twice about it. You know, I just want to be able to treat people. So, yeah, what is it that you want to do? But I need to maybe I should make a vision board
I still
with
have
this
leftover
concept.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Just like, okay, because like, okay, so I have this vision board that I made. This is my most recent vision board. And I paired it with like affirmations and things like that. And I even like put my face on photos with
Mhm.
other people like Sam and Colby, Drew Barrymore, and Mel Robbins. So I am like slowly progressing my vision board capabilities, but maybe, like you said, I need to be focusing more on the feelings of what it is that that security is going to bring me
Mhm.
rather than what I can do with it, I guess.
Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, you and I both know, but for anybody else, like when you're doing any type of manifestation practice, don't focus on what you don't want. I don't want to have to work a server job forever. Okay, well, great. Now you've eliminated one of about a million options that are on the table. It's There's a perfect example. I sent you this video the other day of this woman
Yeah.
who was like, I have two daughters, and my one daughter is more of a pessimist, but she's like, I don't want chocolate ice cream. I don't want vanilla ice cream. I don't want pierogies for dinner. Whereas her other daughter is like, Mom, I want chicken nuggets. And she's like, Great, well, then I can make you chicken nuggets in about 30 seconds while your sister still sits here and goes down the list of what she doesn't want. So she's like, Well, I was down here first. But then the girl who asked for the chicken nuggets got to eat dinner first because she said what she wanted. She was like, Do you know how much easier it is for me to give her what she wants rather than try to figure out and decipher what my other daughter might want? So
Yeah.
to me, that's a perfect, like, in real life example of just the same thing. I don't want to work anymore. I don't want to do this. But okay, so what do you want?
Yeah.
And go as deep as you can, as big picture as you can. I want freedom. I want love. I want reciprocity. I want blah, blah, blah. I want to be worry free, whatever that might be. So, yeah, the end goal. What is the end true goal?
Yeah. But even taking it a step further, I've translated that into gratitude.
Yeah.
So when I'm manifesting, I am so grateful that I get paid to exist. I am so grateful that abundance is flowing in for me. I am so grateful. Divine opportunities are constantly presenting themselves to me. And then, you know, things start happening and you start wondering what's going on. And then you don't self-sabotage, let it be, but also be using your discernment because the spirit or the universe is not going to test you or I never want to say trick, but they are going to see, has this person learned certain lessons? Can they take it to the next step? And then slowly but surely. And a lot of that comes with attitude as well and intention. And gratitude, again, completely changed my life. Even if you're not using gratitude to just manifest, which is super helpful, but just expressing gratitude for everything, like everything. If you can express gratitude for everything in your life all of the time, that would be fantastic. Start small. If that's not a practice that you've been getting into, start with at least 1 to 3 things. I write them down so every day, this whole thing is gratitude every day, every morning and I'm writing about things that I'm grateful for that I've done. I'm grateful for my vulnerability, my communication skills, the progress I've made, but also things that are outside of me and simple, like clean water to drink, food to eat, warm blankets to sleep with, things like that. So try to make it as simple and as complex, make it about yourself, make it about your manifestations. But gratitude shows the universe, wow, this person is really grateful for this thing that we've been doing. Let's give them some more, and see how they do. And so the universe it's like attracts like, or frequency and frequency. If you are constantly, which I used to be in a negative cycle of intrusive thoughts where I am just downward spiraling, and what do I do? I'm such a horrible person. Why is it like this? What is happening? It took me talking to your mom for a few years, and she was like, finally gave me that perspective of, well, you can't keep saying you're doing bad. You're going to do bad.
Hmm.
You have to tell yourself you're working on it. I'm you are progressing. It's no longer, I'm really bad at this. It's, I am constantly working on improving this. I am taking this head on. I am great at communicating, even when we're working on it, but we're manifesting. Because if you are telling yourself you're great at communicating, the next time you need to speak up for yourself, you might think a little differently and make a different decision than you would have previously. And even if it's not initial, again, it's that process of awareness. Okay, a little reflection, awareness. Maybe I make a decision. Maybe I make a different move. Or maybe you resort back. Well, I didn't really like that. I didn't resonate with that. It's constantly analyzing, which, I mean, we don't want to say constantly because I'd never want to like feel like everybody has to strive, strive, strive. But I do wish to instill growth, just a growth mindset. How can I be better? But also, how can I have grace for myself? Because I personally am not meant to hustle. I was not here to go, go, go. I was here to rest and live a life of ease. And so another big lesson for me was guilt-free rest.
Hmm.
And spirit would do this by knocking me on my ass and throwing my back out. And they would force me. If I don't listen to them, they will force me to rest if I'm not doing it myself. If I'm just go, go, you know, I'm blinded by the signs of them. I'm just constantly striving. That's not the energy I'm supposed to be in. So they will make me sick. They will throw out my back, whatever it is, so that I lay down. So if you feel like something is nagging at you to lay down or to rest, honor that. And do not, again, resting, not selfish, not selfish, but you're made to feel like it is so that you won't do it and then you just burn yourself out. So really come back to yourself, your authenticity, and be like, what is going to be best for me right now?
Yeah.
Let me rest. Take a nap, 20 minutes, even if it's that, or take a longer one. Who cares?
Hmm.
Just take care of yourself.
Yeah. And I think, like, back to your gratitude thing, I also have a gratitude journal, but I do it at night. And so that's my goal is throughout the day, I'm like, what's the one thing that I'm going to write down? And so it becomes almost like a competition of what's going to be the best thing for the day. And for someone like me who is a natural pessimist, like when the pressure gets put on me, I'm like, fuck this, everything's bad. This isn't going to work. Like I know that about myself and I hate it. And I'm working on changing it by doing stuff like this, by saying,
Mm,
okay, what is going to be a really great thing today? And I think that that's also not talked about enough in spirituality is that people like me exist. Like you can still look at the world around you and see the objective negativity, but just choose not to fall into it, you know? But it's still there. And it's not ignorance is bliss to say, like, yes, it is all, everything is amazing and it will pass and blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, it will. It's okay that it's not great right now. Same thing for a person to person level. It's okay that it's not great right now. You could rest for 15 days in a row. Is that what you need, or are you lying to yourself? That's where I always go back to the intentions. Are your intentions to rest for 15 days so you can escape the world? Because then that's not going to get you anywhere. is your intention to rest for 15 days so you have an extra 15 days of goodness that you can share, of love you can spread, of your own purpose that you can work on? Those are good intentions. So, yeah, I mean, it does go back to gratitude. And I think also from that gratitude perspective, it's kind of doubled down as like a almost like a progress journal for me. Cause I'm like, I look back at last January and I was like, I'm so happy today. I had two teams for my trivia. And like now I'm on week 12 of my own regular trivia. And last week there were eight. And it's like,
Wow.
that is so cool. And for someone like me who is constantly analyzing, who is constantly looking at the patterns, there's growth there. So then when I do also get into those negative things of like, I'm not where I want to be, I feel like I'm behind, I look at that and I'm like, there's literally proof in the pudding that I'm not. So it is a mix of seeing to believe, but I'm also doing it at the same time. And I am still on that day to day basis believing that delusion. I told you every single morning that I wake up, I imagine I am receiving an award. And who
Oh,
am I
yeah.
thanking? Who am around in my life am I thanking? Who is still here? Who is supporting me? Who has good intentions? Who do I want with me? So, and what award am I receiving?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that that's just very motivating for me and powerful. But from that gratitude, it's also just like, it's a good tracker of look at how far you've come.
No, yeah, I really love that. I love that you've turned it into progress. I relate to that as well through my journaling and keeping up with my calendar because every week I put this little circle and I have a tracker for the money that I'm making through like tarot and TikTok because when I hit a certain part or a certain point, I get to quit my job.
Mhm.
That's my, okay, I'm successfully sustaining this X amount of money, so that is supplementing what I make at this human job that I have to go to. So once I can calculate all of that and have what I need, then that will help me. And so I have slowly and progressively been going, and this week is my highest week. Even though it's just by like a dollar and some cents, it's still the highest week that I've had so far. So I'm just taking that as the win that it is. I'm not like, oh, it's only just a dollar more. No, it's the highest week that I've had so far, even if it's just a dollar. And as I've been moving through this moon phase that we've been in,
If
this
I
is
can
the,
cut you off
oh, yeah.
to also say the other side of that is this is the lowest amount of money that I will make because everything else is up from here.
Ah,
So
yeah.
it's gratitude, but it is that's also that motivation too of
Don't limit
wow.
my,
Hmm.
thank you. I feel like as I've been moving through this most recent moon phase that we've been in, this is the first one I've actually started tracking myself throughout the moon phase. So under the new moon, you're meant to rest, but then on the next one, I have them written down. The waxing crescent, you're supposed to set intentions. So this was the first time that I ever set intentions and have slowly been working through the moon phases to accomplish those intentions. So I wrote intentions I want to have, or I intend to have this by this date by doing these things, right? And so now that I've been going throughout, I can go back and see I've already been accomplishing so many of these things, specifically with my podcast, which is normally the hardest thing for me to work on or has in the past because it just never felt right. But now, this time, it feels very different, and I've been moving along. And then throughout the moon phases, I've been doing different things. So I also did like a gratitude portion. I was so grateful that I had had some successful videos. I was so grateful that I had been completing tasks for my podcast and just being grateful for everything that the moon had already brought me. And then I reflected on what my next steps were going to be. And I've already been checking things off for that. So if you can keep track and kind of log how, I mean, working with the moon is an incredible opportunity that we have lying at our fingertips at any time. Just are we going to take advantage of it? And I'm finding that through this first moon phase of me taking advantage of this energy, I have slowly but surely been checking things off of that list and am moving towards what I want. I think that they say that witches get ahead in life or we're so lucky, but it's just intention. We just move through life with intention because we have places we want to be. And we're going to put the action that goes into it with the assistance and guidance of the moon, as well as the stars and everything that's moving around up there, too.
Mhm. Yeah.
I did mean to mention, you had mentioned how you didn't really resonate with astrology because of your twin. I also like when I first started getting into horoscopes, that just felt pish posh to me. So if you resonate with just like, how could this be generic for everybody, or this is generic in general, how could this pertain to everybody? I resonated with that. Sometimes it would hit and I would kind of see, but other times it just wouldn't. So I feel like I've been using the moon phases and the astrology again, not to like tell me how I'm feeling or things like that, but rather as a roadmap to help me get where it is that I'm wanting to go, to utilize the energy that's already going to be happening, but just with like a little bit of assistance. But yeah, I didn't really resonate with like the horoscopes when I first started thinking about astrology.
Mhm. Yeah. And I mean, I think it's like from a very big picture, it's almost like a stereotype. Like, oh, all Aquarius act blah, blah, blah. All Scorpio act blah, blah, blah. Like, it's almost like a metaphysical stereotype, kind of. But yeah, I mean, I think you also go back to just removing judgment totally. And if you can do that, the world is your oyster. Because I too grew up being very judgmental. I still relatively am judgmental of other people. That's just a flaw. That's one of those things that makes me not perfect, that I have the choice to change in my healing and in my journey if I choose to. So, but from a big picture thing, like another part of the reason why as a child, like I just sat and wanted to play video games is because I was just so judgy on everything else. I don't need to go do that. I don't need to go, no, I'm fine. I'm content. Please don't bother me. So, but now, like even starting last year, thinking of something like you brought up before of like the wheel of the year. So, like I have a class coming up about the wheel of the year, but it's this idea of not the traditional calendar. And you're following more of the seasons. So the astrological, the metaphysical new year is the first day of spring
Mm-hmm.
rather than January 1st, which just seems very arbitrary anyway. But you also look at it just from a language perspective of October. Oct is eight. That's the eighth month. There is absolutely zero reason why that makes any sense for that to be month 10. So if you start following the wheel of the year, to me, that has made such a huge difference. And I've seen it from a pattern. Like every year in March and April, I always have, since a child, had so much anxiety. And I've never figured out why. I always thought that it was like the lull between spring break and summer vacation, or, the ending of the school year, or this is when things are going to start to change. But now I've just realized, back to your point of I've never given myself full permission to rest. And so when spring comes, I'm intuitively feeling the earth waking up, things starting to get back into action. That causes so much pressure because, well, I haven't taken winter to rest. I haven't taken fall to calm down. So now there is no rested energy in me. And it's just more of that pressure to get up and go. So now, and I've seen it the last 2 years, the slowest month, probably because of the holidays, for my events is December. And so if I can now start to craft a business around spending the first early couple months of the year planning, prepping, writing, springtime is now action, go, do, summertime for a horror business. June, July, August are my best months. This is 4 years over. Not October, summer, action, people going out, energy, people wanting to do things. Things start slowing down October, November, December. So if I can not only craft my own events and my own business around the wheel of the year, but also my own emotions to say, this is when we are having higher energy. This is the time of year to slow down. That will also help me appreciate my love for October a little bit more because I'm not putting that pressure to do stuff because the earth kind of doesn't want me to. So
Yeah.
I think if you can literally use all the tools around you of the moon, see if that's what resonates with you. See if astrology is what resonates with you. See if just working with something like the astrological calendar, the wheel of the year, works for you. All of the above, put them together, plus gratitude, plus intentions, plus manifestations, you're lucky. I bet you'll start being lucky. My only warning and caveat is once you start going on this journey, make sure that it's only for the highest and best.
Mhm.
Everything you do is of the highest and best. Because when you are in that state of low vibration, negative thinking, things aren't going really great, you open yourself up to so many things that also exist on that lower level. And then that's when you get fear and scary movies of people being possessed. That doesn't really happen super often, but it's more of a scare tactic to say, don't explore, don't do this. Because if you explore and you succeed, then there you go, you're successful. It's that simple. But and again, like I always try to preach it from the perspective of not necessarily belief. Like just try it and see what resonates with you.
And that's all I want people to do. I want them to take what resonates and leave what doesn't. That's how I live my life and my craft. People will always ask me like if I believe in God or if I practice a certain religion as a witch, and I don't. I don't practice a certain religion. I go off of my moral compass and I decide what resonates and I leave what doesn't. I don't know if that would be considered a chaos witch or something like that, but that's how I live. Does this make me feel good? Does this align with my highest and greatest good? If something happens that doesn't, well, then that was a lesson to show me I can't accept that anymore. I have to move differently in this certain instance. So it does just come back to what do you think? Or even I had somebody come up to me at work the other day. I don't think I told you about this, telling me that they had a question. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, well, I don't want him to die, but I'm looking for a spell. And I'm like, what? And he's like, I don't want him to die. I don't want him disfigured. I just want him to have a really bad time. Like, this person has been really inconsiderate and just awful to this other person. And I was like, well, that's not really how I practice my magic based on my ethics and moral compass. But I can, like, maybe point you in the right direction, or like offer you like a better, more light spell. Because I've done the spells that are meant to be justice, and then your mom was like, well, who are you to give karma?
Mm-hmm.
And so I had learned that lesson that it's not my job to give other people their karma. And then somebody started talking shit at work. And so I decided to ward myself. And what happened the next day? Their tire was popped.
Mm-hmm.
Spirit took care of them for me. They literally showed me in that instant, focus on yourself. We will do the dirty work, the karma. We will dish the karma for you. It might not be exactly what you imagined, but it inconvenienced the hell out of him, you know? And then he had like a horrible night at work that night. Again, I had said no ill will to the harm of none and the good of all. Like, I protect my own name, and they took care of this person for me. So that is coming down to my authenticity. That is coming down to my ethics, my moral compass. If he would have asked me the same question last summer, I might have given him a spell. But now, after what I've learned and the experiences, I no longer resonate with those spells. They don't align with me anymore. So, how can I guide him towards peace or just send him in the direction where he can get the knowledge? Because his ethics don't have to be the same as mine, but also I believe in karma, and I just wouldn't want that coming back to me.
Mm-hmm.
So it all comes back to, what do you resonate with? And it's okay to change your mind.
Yeah.
Don't think, well, I did this once, I have to keep doing it. No, if it doesn't sit well with you, You have every right and choice. Again, we always have a choice to choose a different path.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, to your point before as well, and this will sort of like kind of wrap up all of this, is the repeated lessons. You have been on this journey with me of talking about this boy from my high school who has been very suicidal, who I have seen myself repeating patterns from my old suicidal roommate, checking in, making sure that he's not alone, always wanting to be there. And that shit got thrown back right in my face, my kindness, my love, my time, my attention thrown back in my face for no reason other than insecurity of that boy. And I have to, in my heart of hearts, transmute that anger and revenge and fuck you energy to say, I hope I am the last person that he does this to. I hope that I am the last person who has to feel this man's insecurity. I send him love. I send him hopefully growth. I send him reflection, and I wish him nothing but the best. Do I 100% feel that? No. But am I going to say that until I believe it? Yes, because that's what your message is. That's what the lesson of all of this is the more that we can share uplifting love of saying, please go support yourself. Please choose yourself. Please wake up and just make choices that are in alignment with you. The world will be a much better place. And it's the idea almost of like, if you have nothing nice to say, just keep moving. You don't need to comment on social media. You don't need to call people out. You can call people and hold them accountable and say, what did you mean by that? Can you clarify what you mean? Because why did you say that? Because then you're waking them up a little bit more too. So consistent love, self-awareness, and accountability. Push that forward.
Accountability. That has been
Accountability.
showing up in my journals a lot. People taking accountability for their actions. I will say though, I am not perfect. I
Mm.
also struggle with anger and frustration, and I'm working on having more patience and am learning how to still wish my enemies, so-called enemies, um, good days. I'm trying to find that within myself because right now I deal with it through the silent treatment because I used to give you my energy. You don't deserve it. Phew, wall up. You don't get any of it. You don't deserve my beautiful energy. So I'm trying to find a balance right now between being peaceful and kind even to people who don't deserve my energy. So again, I'm not perfect, and we all have to find this balance within ourselves. It's going to be unique for each of us, but right now, it's okay that I'm giving them the silent treatment. They deserve it. These are men who talk shit about women, who have sexual harassment charges, who make jokes to women, who have been domestically abused about domestic violence. These are not good people. So why would I want to give them my energy or any of my kindness? So I'm really, really kind to the people that I love and care about and who are just trying to get through life. I'll always try and compliment you and tell you you're doing so good, but then break that trust or be a horrible person. My light is not for you. But also, who am I to say it's not? Because what if I could help somebody grow? So this is like the internal battle that I've been having with myself. And maybe it's not for me to know right now. This is something that will progress and I will learn from. But again, to just show you guys I'm not perfect and that this is a lesson that I'm trying to learn. I've completed other ones and have come out stronger. So just any lesson that you're in right now, let it be okay that it's okay. Like, we are meant to learn lessons. We come here to grow. That's what Earth is for. That's why we choose to come here, I believe, to grow and for a purpose. So, whatever you believe your purpose to be, just have grace with yourself, honestly. If you can't get over it right now, that's okay. Let it marinate with time. And throughout it, continue to reflect and be curious about it. But again, don't attach judgment to it.
Absolutely. Yeah. don't be afraid to be a freak.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this thing. I've been walking around the woods and I'm like, what if I just start telling people, legend has it there's a witch that wanders these woods, but I'm the witch. So be the freak, be the weirdo.
I love it. Be the witch of the woods. Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Amber. For anybody who is interested, Amber goes on live. How often?
I go on lives regularly twice a week, usually Monday through Wednesday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Awesome. And Amber creates magic on TikTok.
Yes.
So,
Thank you so much.
yes, of course. Thank you for joining as
Of
always.
course. It was a pleasure. I always love spending time with you.
Thanks. And thanks everyone for listening.